kick off another episode of Performance That Matters, joined by a very special guest, Lachlan Rowston. Lachie, thanks for coming on.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Mate, as soon as you walked in, I took one look at you. I know it's been a little while between drinks, and I thought, holy smokes, I was like, you are looking good. Yeah, we're going to get into it. We'll get into diet, we'll get into training,
I swear.
Yeah, that's my first thought. I'm not going to lie. As soon as I looked at you, I thought, man, you've adopted the Liver King 17 ancestral tenets or something, whatever it is. But seriously, you're looking in insane shape. You're just telling us a crazy story off air. Do you want to share that with the audience?
Yeah. Okay, so to be fair, I don't actually... Okay, I will take any blood test or any steroid test under the sun for this. But I can't give you the exact reason. I can just give you all the factors in my life that changed in the last 12 months that me and my team of specialists and doctors would probably agree they all contribute in some way. The weighting of that, we don't really know exactly. But yeah, basically most of the last, probably 5 years, maybe more, 7 years, I probably weighed between like 90 and 92, 93 kilos. There was like maybe a very small period of time, like 6 months, where I got up to like 95, 96 kilos. And then I was like eating a lot of protein. And I'll get to it. But yeah, I started eating a lot of red meat and I gained quite a bit of weight. But my body fat percentage definitely went up. And I did a DEXA scan and it was like, oh, you've put on 2 kilos of lean mass. You've also put on 2 kilos of fat. And anyway, so then I cut and I got the weight back down. But typically when you're kind of like at your heaviest or like your homeostasis, gaining weight and then like trying to cut the fat and keep the muscle is very hard naturally. It's like you basically lose most of the muscle you gain. And so I just felt like, I'm just going to be like a 92 kilo guy for the rest of my life. And, my brother sits at probably like, he's a bit taller than me. He sits around sort of same body composition, 96, 97. I was like, yeah, it's just a little bit heavier, a little bit more muscle. And then anyway, went through some personal stuff, like a breakup at the start of last year, about 12 months ago. And then also got some blood tests done, and my doctors thought that one specialist felt like a few of my gut health markers were indicating like a lot of inflammation in my gut, which I sort of just ignored. And then like a more traditional medical doctor was like, hey, I think you've got hematomacrosis, which is basically chronically high iron, which is asymptomatic, by the way, but a really dangerous condition. If you have, so I think your ferritin is supposed to sit around, ferritin is stored iron. It's supposed to sit around like 60 to 100, I want to say. And yeah, mine was like 800 to 1,000. Yeah, and it's been like that for years. But we did the gene test, and the gene test showed up negative, so I don't have the genetic defect. And if you do, I think if you've got it, then all you have to do is donate blood regularly. It's not the worst thing. Anyway, so I get the readings back. He's like, all right, well, let's just experiment. Let's take red meat out of your diet. And I was like, whoa. I'm like, red meat is good for you. What do you mean? I'm not taking red meat out of my diet. He's like, let's just try it for 6 months. If nothing changes, you can just go back to eating it. I'm like, okay. So I think it was about April last year, I cut red meat out of my diet completely, which for the first month was definitely hard because I was eating a lot of red meat. So it's probably having around 300 to 500 grams of red meat a day. So that'd be like either a big steak for dinner, or it'd be like mince in the morning, or maybe like a combination of both. And then all my other blood markers were pretty healthy. Like there was never any major concerns. Cholesterol was maybe a tiny bit high, but nothing major. And so I cut the red meat out and started adding more fiber into my diet. And over the 6 months, we did more tests, and a couple of things showed up at the end of the 6 months. Like definitely my ferritin went down a lot. So it was about 800, it went down to about 200. My gut health and my digestion, and mostly, honestly, my constipation, like basically disappeared. There was like, without oversharing, but there were essentially periods of time I'd go to the bathroom. I couldn't go because it was too painful, and I would get back up and just deal with it until I ate more fiber and just hydrated more. And that's what I thought my issue was. I thought my issue was like I need more fiber and more water to deal with this constipation. I didn't think it had anything to do with the red meat. And then all the gut health markers cleared up as well. And literally by just clearing out the thing that was destroying my gut, which was eating too much red meat. To be clear, I didn't actually think red meat was inherently bad. I think I was just eating too much red meat. How much I go back to now, I'm undecided. I probably eat maybe 100 grams a month now, so like barely any. And yeah, that I think contributed a lot to being able to absorb protein properly, absorb nutrients properly, be healthier, sleep better, train better. And also there's a lot of research to say that people in relationships have, and I think I'm just speculating here, but I think it's because there's the bonding chemical in humans, oxytocin, that you get from like skin on skin contact. Basically, like once you go through a breakup, you don't get any of that, and that's what they reckon might have to do with the increase in testosterone that men get after they break up. Because basically, you get like you get the increase in testosterone. I think it's also you get a boost in immunity as well. Your body feels like I'm alone, I'm unsafe, and so your immune system ramps up. So I think that was a little bit of combination with the gut health stuff, and like they kind of combine their powers. And like I ramped up creatine to like 15 grams a day because there was like all this new research coming out on brain health and focus and stuff, and I wasn't getting any creatine in my diet because I wasn't eating red meat. And yeah, basically in like probably 8-9 months, I gained. We did a DEXA scan at the start and at the end. I gained like nearly 3 kilos of lean mass, which was pretty crazy.
Without the body fat too.
Yeah, like there was a slight increase in body fat, but body fat percentage went down because obviously fat went up a little bit, but like muscle went up a lot faster. So as a percentage, I think I went from like 12.5 to like 12.1. Yeah.
What prompted you initially to get onto the red meat train? Like,
what are you going to say for the breakup? I'm like, what's this podcast about?
Get really deep.
Yeah. What got me onto the red meat?
Yeah, what was it? Because that's a lot of like 500 grams a day, steak mince every day. I mean, you're well educated in nutrition, right? Like it's not like you're coming into it cold. What was it that you're like, oh yeah, I want to have most of my diet red meat?
Yeah, it's a good question. I love red meat. I love the taste. So like eating more of it was from a taste perspective. I'm like, I'm down to do that. Yeah, I just think there was like a lot of probably pseudoscience, honestly, out there about like the benefits of eating more red meat. And I just thought, let me try it from an experimental perspective. And that whole stint with red meat, it was probably only like 18 months I guess that's a lot in hindsight, but it did also die back down a little bit. So probably for like a good 8-9 months, it was around that 500 grams a day. And then it probably tapered down a little bit, maybe like 500 grams every 2 days. And then, when I made the call to cut it out, probably for like a couple months before that, I was probably eating maybe 500 grams every 3 or 4 days. So it'd come down, but I think at that point, the damage was already done.
Yeah, it's an interesting combo. Like we were talking about off air, I probably had 15, 20 athletes where not that exact case with the gut health and everything, but very similar where they've watched whatever, they've spoken to such and such, and then their red meat consumption just goes up. And then we look at their blood panels and it's the first thing. And whether it's like an animal-based diet, carnivore-based diet, it's like, man, like we need to come off this because it's doing something that's not too favorable, whether that's cholesterol, whatever it is. It's like, man, and most of the time it was cholesterol. So it's interesting that yours didn't go up even though that you're having so much, but it is a common theme. And it's like, man, just not saying red meat's inherently bad. It's just like, bro, just got to have something else in there. You've got to be looking at other things. Yeah. That's a wild story though.
Yeah. I spoke to my brother about it as well, Cam, who's like, we're very similar, like, or obviously similar genetics, but like structure wise as well, similar sort of height, similar build. And I told him about it and he's like, oh yeah, I just kind of intuitively stopped eating red meat. He goes, it just doesn't agree with me anymore. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I guess I was paying attention, but I wasn't creating the correct correlation. So he did, and he's cut it out for a while.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Let's talk about locker room, because locker room, I think globally the concept may not be that outrageous or crazy, but definitely within Australia it is. I remember when we first spoke about it and I went, man, it's such a cool concept. But I travel a lot. I've seen that type of concept in London. I've seen it in cities like New York. But when you're like, man, I want to bring this concept to Australia, it's like, is that going to work? Does that work? And I guess proof's in the pudding. A couple, what was it, 3 years down the track now?
Yeah, we opened the first site in March 2021.
Wow, so coming up to 4 years. I mean, proof's in the pudding. 4 years and it worked. For the people who don't know, explain what locker room is and what the concept behind it.
Yeah, so in 2014, I opened my first gym, which was like a group fitness studio. It was like CrossFit, and then it kind of evolved into like small group, like personal training. And then I feel like that sort of ran its course. Like anyone that knows anything about the group fitness industry, it's like, it's pretty saturated. It's commoditized. And so we made a call to basically sell that business, those 3 gyms, to open locker room, which is essentially the initial idea was to bring in like CEOs, executives, celebrities, athletes and stuff into a private space and do personal training. That was like the initial premise. It evolved into basically a private gym for executives in the city. So it's kind of like a holistic health service. They come in, like we do their bloods, we do like pretty comprehensive like testing. So we'll do like A lot of stuff that's been in strength and conditioning for a number of years, and then we just kind of stripped it back and said, okay, what's relevant to like executives and people in their 40s and 50s and 60s that just want to live longer and live a better life, and how is that, or what elements of that do they need? Like reaction tests and like plyometric tests, strength tests, basic stuff like that. So giving them all those tests, correlating it with their longevity, and then obviously using like DEXA scans, nutritionists, supplementation protocols, and then just like good resistance training. We basically just built a private space for them where they can come and train and just, get out, especially in the city, get out of like the Fitness First and the Virgins and all those gyms that are just like packed and they're crowded. Just give them like really like high quality training.
I describe it to people as LinkedIn in real life, but it's like, even think of it now.
It's like LinkedIn if you filter for decision makers. And the financial district.
What's the premium LinkedIn when you got to pay for it with all the it's like that. It's like premium LinkedIn in real life.
That's pretty funny.
it's a cool concept though, because if you think about that market, how perfect is it for it? Because like, and I imagine you could tell us they're probably time poor. They probably don't have a lot of time to make these decisions, but they probably appreciate, hey man, if I'm working out and I'm fit and I'm eating well, this directly correlates to me being better in business. So there's a huge market for it. Yeah. Just you guys are the first to jump in there. Or maybe not the first, but the first to do it exceptionally well.
Yeah, there were definitely PTs and like very small studios out there that were working with this type of clientele before, but the clientele didn't have a product that was scalable, that was built exactly for them, which is kind of what we've done. And I think a lot of the feedback that we've been getting over the years is it's almost like they don't know what they would do without us, because we just solved a lot of like really tricky problems. Like one of the big things is our booking system, which has taken a while to build. But traditionally, PT is booked with a single trainer one-on-one. And for people that, travel between different time zones every month and have board meetings and client stuff, and it's just chaos, their schedules are unpredictable. So like, okay, I can book Monday and Tuesday morning at 6 a.m., but like the chances of me making it are like, I don't know, because New York could call, or like I could be on a plane tomorrow, or like I just really can't make that time. My kids they get sick or whatever and they need to reschedule. But in the traditional model, they just lose those sessions. They can't rebook them, or they go, okay, I can't make it. And if it's a good trainer, they're usually pretty full. He's like, all right, I can see you on like Friday at 3 p.m. They're like, I'm not coming on Friday at 3 p.m. And so basically, we just built a booking system where they can book basically a session every 15 minutes, Monday to Friday from 5:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. And they can move it around as they need to. So like they get that flexibility to just kind of make it work for them. So that was a big solve for them.
What's the process look like? So if someone comes in and they go, hey, Lockie, I want to sign up. Talk us through it. When they walk into the door, put pen to paper, okay, I'm a member of Locker Room. What do you go through? Because you do the full assessment and then you take them through and then they get access to the booking. What is it top to bottom? What's it look like?
Okay, so first of all, they have to pay upfront for a year. So it's like it's a significant amount of money. Yeah.
Is that an intentional thing that you guys did to say, hey, I want you guys to commit to this?
Yeah. There's like a lot of, just a lot of anecdote, but everyone can relate to this. Like the frequency in which you pay for something is like also the time length and the frequency in which you reconsider if it's a good investment or not. So if you're paying weekly, every week you're assessing like, was that week worth it? And of course, as you know, in health and fitness, like you have ups and down weeks, right? So like if you're assessing a bad week, should I continue? And you say, I was a shit week, I barely went, and you just go, I'm not going to continue, I'll just pause my membership. No one's ever going to achieve their fitness goals, right? So being able to use like the time frame of like 6 months to a year, it just helps us navigate like the ups and downs better. So it gives us like more time to just more wiggle room to essentially get results, and it just works way better. And it gets them more invested as well. If they're committing for a year, they're like, all right, you could write off a month in a year and still hit your goal. But like if you're committing for a month, if you lose that month and then you just go away and you don't re-sign or you don't buy a new pack, people just don't get to their goals. So it's like the best thing for them, even though it hurts their wallet more. Ultimately, it's better in the end. So yeah, they pay up front. From there, we take them through. They then start our program, which we've called the Exponential Executive, that we've trademarked. And they do this thing that we've called the Locker Room Physical. And they basically go through a whole bunch of different tests on our 3 pillars. So strength, health, and fitness. So we're doing like a VO2 max tests. We're doing like blood work. So a full like 50 marker blood panel. We're going to do like some of the stuff I mentioned before. We've got these things called plyo mats. I don't know if you've used those before, but yeah, we're looking at like vertical jump height. We're looking at like a reaction jump test, like I think counter movement jump, I think it's called, like single leg hop tests, stuff like that. We do a couple of strength tests. We do some like a sit and reach tests. So a few different mobility things. And then we grade them. So we basically have like 4 stages. Basically like just the most basic, you're fucked, to like you're an elite athlete. And of those 4 stages, most people will start in stages like 1 and 2. And stages 3 and 4, we usually start to see people start scoring 3s and 4s when they're in like year 2 or year 3 of the program, sometimes even year 4. Well, we're in the 4th year now. So they do that comprehensive testing. Based off that testing, and besides all the admin setup and all the app setup, they then do a consultation with our in-house nutritionist. They get assigned a results manager, so their RM then works with the nutritionist to build out the nutrition lifestyle program. They get a wearable, so they then have 3 core habits that they have to hit every week. So the first one is steps. So we get a wearable, we're tracking steps. Look, wearables track lots of things. All we care about is steps. We want to see activity levels. So we're tracking steps every week. We're tracking number of weight sessions done. So they have to do like, well, it depends what membership they're on, but we want to see at least 2 sessions a week. And then the third thing that we're testing is we want to see like protein intake as well. We want to make sure that they're getting enough protein. Tracking those step counts, weight sessions, protein, that usually covers like the big kind of rocks at the gym. And then there's like secondary habits and other stuff and some more individualization that goes in there. Those 3 things, if they're consistently tracking those and obviously doing the sessions, following the program, we start to see really good results.
How's it work with access to the trainers? You guys obviously have a good staple of really high quality trainers, top level nutritionists. They come in, are they assigned a trainer or is it more flexible? How's that work?
So they get their results manager, their RM is allocated to them at the start. There is some flexibility in case for whatever reason it's not really working, they can switch it out. But when they book sessions on the app, they're just booking on with any trainer. So like they just book what works for their schedule, and whatever trainer's scheduled on will work with them. That session that they do is it's like housed in TeamBuildr, which is like a training software. And all the notes and everything goes through there to the programming team, and every coach has access to it. So anytime a coach works them, they'll pull up the program, they'll see all the training history, they'll see all the notes, they'll see all the injury history. So it's like they're fully up to speed with the client. And if there's any questions before it, they can just speak to their RM and be like, you wrote like a substitution for this. I'm not really sure why you made that substitution. There's something wrong with that client I need to be aware of before the session, just stuff like that.
What is generally the reason that they're coming in? Because if they're executives, I doubt, and maybe you do, I doubt you have like 21, 22-year-old executives coming through.
No one under 35.
Yeah, so they're a bit older, right? They've got life experience. What stage are they coming in? Is it because, hey, I used to be fit in high school, work got in the way, and then I got too out of shape. I'm struggling balancing work and doing this, or is it just I have no idea how to balance it? Where are they at when they're generally coming in, or is it very individual, or what's the go?
So we have like 3 types of clients, 3 archetypes. The first is like 10% of clients. They come in, they're actually quite advanced. They do a lot of training themselves already. They might train like 4 or 5 sessions a week. They might have like a running program. They've probably done marathons. Their diet's pretty dialed in. They just are looking for someone to just take all the thinking off the table, and they just want to train in a private gym away from the crowds. So like what those clients really want and what they appreciate is just like being surrounded by almost like people like them. They in some ways, in a different life, if they weren't an investment banker, they might have been a trainer. Because like they come in, we scan and I'm like, we can improve body composition, but like, you're like 12, 13%, like you're pretty good. Like you kind of look like a trainer, but they just have the money to spend and they're like, I don't want to go to fitness first. And like, I just want you to take care of my program and like, just tell me what to do and what to eat and I'm going to do it. And their adherence is like almost perfect. And they just like the convenience of our system. That's 10% of people. The next sort of like 40% of people, they come in and they're like, really haven't done anything for a long time. And they're like bottom of they're basically their doctor's gone like, do something or it's going to be bad. So they're like, maybe they haven't done really any exercise, say for like 2, 3, 5+ years. For those people, it's like, I'm going to be dramatic here, but it is a little bit of a matter of life and death. They have done some stuff in the past, but it's been a while. And they're coming in and they're usually getting readings of like 35, 40, 45% body fat. And like blood work is completely shot. So for them, it's like, it's really about health. It's really about just getting their health back. And then the other sort of, 50%, 40, 50% of people are like the people that are just kind of dabbling in stuff and just kind of like inconsistent with their exercise routine, and they might be like going for a run twice a week and then like kind of doing some weight sessions on their own, but just like making it up as they go, like kind of half doing keto, half like intermittent fasting, like, 25% body fat, not optimized, probably got 10-15% of their body weight to lose. And they're people that like, they've got the motivation, they just need to be guided as to what to do. And I would say like their main goals are usually around like, I want to live longer. Cause like they're already kind of pretty healthy, but they're like, I just want to like clean up, like optimize my body composition. I want to live longer, and I just want to be around for my kids. Like kids is a big one we find, because like most of our clients, their kids, I would say between like 1 and 12. Yeah, because they're kind of between like 40 and 50. Most of our clients have generally had kids a lot later because they've been like career focused. And so for them, they're kind of at this moment where this crossroads where you can kind of keep up with a kid if you're out of shape when they're like 1 to 5. When they start hitting 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and they start getting some legs on them and they're pretty quick, that's when they feel that contrast of like, oh my God, like I can't keep up with my kids anymore. Like we're at the park trying to kick a footy. I'm good for like 10 minutes. This kid wants to go for like 3 hours. And they start to realize like, man, if I don't do something, it's just going to get worse. He's going to get fitter and I'm going to be like the fat mom or the fat dad. And they have that realization and they're like, okay, I need help.
Is the goal then to move, say, the guys that are dabbling and all these other things, even the SOS guys, is it to move them up the spectrum to get them closer to that 10%? Is that what the goal is?
Yeah, so that's why we created the Exponential Executive, because you could put anyone in at any stage and there's still always stuff to shoot for. Whereas like on a lot of programs, they probably generally only work with one of our archetypes. They're like, hey, your health sucks. We can do a massive transformation, get you in great shape, but there's not a lot of longevity or much to focus on after that. People stick around because they're like, all right, I don't want to go back there, so I'll keep doing personal training. But they don't really have anything to shoot for after that. And we pick up a lot of those people. They're like, yeah, I've done some personal training. I had the initial goal, which I hit, I lost that 10 kilos, but like I don't really know what's next. And that's when things like VO2 max can come in, or like vertical jump tests, or like strength tests, like performance-based stuff that we can like set some metrics for them and give them new goals.
Are there major complaints when they come in, or even when you're assessing them, that are pretty common amongst all of them, whether it's the 10%, probably more I'd imagine the SOS guys and the guys that just dabble, that whether it's, okay, we're seeing pretty commonly your diet's not great or your sleep's not great. Are there consistencies amongst when you're doing the assessment, or is it kind of all over the place?
Yeah, like things that they're consistently bad at, like that are holding them back. Yeah, alcohol is a big one. Alcohol is a huge one. Yeah. I mean, it's part of the job. It's like I have to go to work and entertain clients, and like it's usually centered around alcohol. So strategies around alcohol is a big thing for us. Education around alcohol is a big thing for us. Sleep is usually crap, and that correlates with high caffeine intake. So like bringing the caffeine intake down so they can sleep better to kind of manage everything else is like really helpful. So yeah, sleep, over caffeinated, way too boozed all the time. Yeah. And then I think probably the other thing is it's interesting. Like I think we've been in the fitness industry, you're the same, but you've just said the basics so many times to the point that you're like, no one wants to hear this anymore. Like everyone knows about calories. Everyone knows about protein intake. Everyone knows about hydration. Like if I say it one more time on a video, people are going to hate on me. They're hearing it for the first time, these clients. So like when I tell them about protein intake or how much protein they need to eat, like their mind is blown. Like they haven't heard this information at all. So for them, it's like education, like on the basic stuff. Like it's all new to them. I think that's one thing that we can forget as industry professionals for this target market, is because we hear it every day. It's in our feeds, it's in our algorithms, it's in our conversations with our peers. It's all new for them. It's day one for them. So it's like the first time you heard that stuff and how much it changed your life, it's happening to all of them for the first time. So an education around this stuff is like, it's huge. It's massive.
What are you doing then? Let's focus on booze. I think that's a big one.
Yeah.
Because it's a tough one to navigate too. If they're saying to you and going, man, Lockie, like you're telling me I can't have any booze, but these guys are giving me $1 million contracts. I'm responsible for these accounts. I've got to keep them entertained. You're telling me to order a non-alcoholic beer. How do you navigate that?
I wish I had the perfect solution. I'd have much better results.
We'd make a lot of money.
Yeah. I mean, look, I can tell you what we try, and like it gets moderate success. I think, look, first of all, I think there's nothing more powerful than someone that wants to change. So like them having a strong enough reason, like an internal motivator to be like, hey, I don't want to do this anymore, will be the difference between them like stopping at 5 or stopping at 20. It's like they'll just have that self-control. Alcohol budgets, saying like, hey, you've got 20 in a week. I mean, they might come in, they might be at 50, right? So like, hey, we're going to halve it. You got to work within 25. They consistently get to 25. All right, we're down to 10, and then just like working with that can help. I think, non-alcoholics, mixing in non-alcoholics can be helpful. We say like have your first 2 or 3 real alcoholic drinks, and then when everyone's a bit more pissed, then order yourself some non-alcoholic stuff when everyone's not paying attention. Like back to education. I think once they really know how bad it really is, and giving them a lot of reasons to not drink, like, hey, you got to get up early for training, hey, you need more sleep, hey, like you're making really good progress here, let's not reverse it, will kind of contribute to that. Like hydration around, like obviously if they're coming in dehydrated to a drinking session, the first 2 or 3 drinks, their body's just like, I need like hydration. I'm thirsty. So they're just trying to, get hydrated with alcohol, which is just a bad move. So having water before, I think that's most of it. Yeah. Maybe our nutritionist, our team could probably give some more strategies, but that's kind of the majority of it. Yeah.
Do you find the wearables help with that education, whether it's the alcohol, the sleep, the nutrition, just seeing it and being like, oh man, I didn't realize I was, say after 10 drinks, my sleep was going to shot, or hey, when we start tracking all of this, oh man, is that something you guys find? Is that something that these wearables are useful?
It's not typically the feedback I hear from the team. I think it is. I think it could have an effect. But I don't think they're paying that much attention to their wearables, most of our clients. Yeah. We're mainly like, just keep it on and keep it charged and we'll take care of the data. That's kind of our approach to it. Yeah.
Right. What about when it comes to diet? If you're doing the basics with them, what are we saying to them then? So when they come in, they sit down with the team of nutritionists, what are you saying? Because again, they're busy corporates, right? And they may not always have access, like where we can do meal prep or whatever, or are you recommending that? What are you saying to them?
Yeah, so one of the other habits that we do is daily weigh-ins. So like most of them have to get on a scale every morning. So what we found is just by getting on a scale every day, it's like checking your bank account every day and knowing you want to save money. It's like, fuck, I got this much money in my account. You're going to make different decisions than just like this. I'm pretty sure I got money for this, like for this, whatever, extra 5 coffees or this extra meal or whatever it is. So daily weigh-ins, we find that they kind of self-regulate a lot of the food that they eat. Protein's a big one. Like everyone's under eating protein, right? You probably know that as well. So just getting their protein intake up is, everyone hears that. It's just like, it's like a common thread amongst human beings for whatever reason. They're just not eating enough protein. Fiber is a big one. And eating breakfast. Like loads of the corporate world is into intermittent fasting for whatever reason. It's just like, it's like a disease. It's just like entered every office and they've all decided they're like, we should just have black coffee when we wake up till like 12 o'clock. And the result of that is they end up crashing in the afternoon. They end up binge eating, or they don't eat all day, and then they get home at night and they just can't satisfy their hunger, right? They just like eat just shit. They eat dinner, but then they go and they eat ice cream, and they eat lollies, and they eat chips and snacks and wine and whatever. So we find that if we can get breakfast in, then that helps to obviously stabilize them through the rest of the day and they can start to make better decisions. So yeah, like reintroducing breakfast is like a big one for us.
Have you tracked data on these guys by whether it's the wearables or just what you guys collect at the gym over, say, like a 12-month period? Do you guys collect that long-term data on them?
On different metrics?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Well, yeah, the step count goes up. We usually get most people around like 8 to 10,000. And like we get pretty regularly, we get 2 to 3,000 steps a day is our clients like average. So that obviously is an indicator of their activity levels just increasing, which is good. Most people will lose at least 10% of their body weight over 12 months with us. Yeah.
In the 1 year.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah. But remember, these people have a lot of weight to lose, some of them. So like 10%, no, some people need to lose like 40% of their body weight. But yeah, most will lose like 10% of their body weight. Because they do their bloods, we pretty much see all blood markers improve. Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah. Like their bloods are terrible. Like, and yeah, every marker that we track, they pretty much all improve. Yeah. Unless they come in and they're already really good, but most of them aren't. And yeah, we always see their blood markers improve.
How much of that do you think comes down to the environment that you guys have created that just makes the adherence probably that much easier?
Like the space itself with other people.
And just the fact that, hey, I've got access to Lockie, the trainers, I've got my own manager who's looking after everything. This is all being tracked for me. Do you think that plays a big, because 12 months and getting those type of results is pretty rare. Like I know that. And being in the fitness industry, 8-week challenges are everywhere. Yeah. So the most common thing you see is that, I'll get results for 8 weeks and then destroy it all for 4 weeks and you just go on the 8-week challenge cycle. Yeah. By the end of the year, you're at the same spot, if not worse. Yeah. So if you're getting improvement over 12 months and then year on year, that's massive. That's massive. Do you think it's because of the environment you guys have created? That's why you're getting the results?
Yeah, I think because of our system and how it's set up and obviously our price point, we're in this unique position where we can dedicate a lot of like one-on-one time with our clients, like person-to-person time. And I just think you can never discount how effective like individual accountability is person to person, and just the ability to continually troubleshoot different issues with a person. I think because we've gotten so obsessed with like scaling and like apps and low cost, it takes the human element out of it. And I think you lose that accountability in there. You just lose that ability to troubleshoot things. And it's almost like, what I say is everyone is trying to work towards their perfect algorithm. And like their algorithm, their formula is whatever X minus Y divided by Z equals weight loss. And it takes heaps of different trial and error to figure out what the perfect algorithm is for different people. Because some people need totally different things to other people, even though they all need to hit a protein target, get a certain amount of steps and do a certain amount of weight training. How they get there is really different for different people, especially our type of clients, because their routines are so different. And then having 12 months, having coaches, having a team around them that can kind of troubleshoot the whole thing helps them eventually get there. Yeah, it just takes lots of iterations to get there.
You've been in the fitness industry a long time and you've seen it all, and you've been at both ends of the spectrum. From being in this system where it's almost like a full support, right? You've got a full support network versus say when you're at the gym and it's just, and maybe not even one-on-one PT, just guys coming in and out of the gym. How much harder is it for that person to make sustainable changes over the long term compared to being in that environment?
For this type of clientele, for anyone?
Anyone. Let's say anyone.
Well, I mean, even for myself, right, I would consider myself pretty advanced. And like even I lean on my team they do my programming, they do my nutrition, and like I got a specialist to do my blood work, and I'm getting results again after ages. I've just taken it, trying to do it myself. And I think it's just because there's just like always things that one person just can't do himself. Like it's just too much to know. And like bringing together a team of specialists is like, it's like LeBron James. I always think about if LeBron James is like the ideal setup, he's got a physio, he's got a dribbling coach, he's got a shooting coach, he's got a masseuse, he's got a diet, nutrition coach, probably a hydration coach. He's fucking got everything, right? He's got a head coach, he's got assistant coaches, he's just got all the specialists around him that are like, hey, you're missing this like small thing here, let's do this. Oh, hey, that's not quite right, let's do this. So I feel like we created a similar sort of setup to that, where it's like you have the team of specialists and they work together to kind of drive the outcomes. And so I use the product because I just think the product's so good. So how other people do it, I think you can get yourself to a point, but I think eventually you stall out, and that's when you like need support.
What's coming up for Locker Room then? Because first time we spoke about it, it was going to be one location, I think 100 members, and you're like, that's it, I'm capping it. The next thing you know, there's 2, probably 3. Next time we chat, it's probably going to be 5. Who knows? Yeah. We'll be all over the world. What's next? What's in the drawing board?
So this is a tough one. Okay, for sure, we know over the next 3 years, we feel like we can pretty much saturate the Australian market, which would be like 4 to 5 sites, probably on the East Coast mostly. We were looking at sites in Melbourne at the start of the year. We're aiming for that towards the end of the year or early next year. We're looking at a new site in Sydney. We've looked at a few sites, but we really like this one that we've got at the moment. So I don't know. It's hard to say exactly how big we think each city is in terms of market size, but I couldn't see us having more than say like 1,000 clients in like each city. That'd be crazy. There'd just be, I don't think there's 1,000 people that could use our product. I could be wrong, but we'll see. So over the next 3 years, we just really want to focus on the Australian market and just get it right here. And then we've just had some early conversations with consultants about bringing it to the US. And they said, one, you're definitely going to have to get investment. They're like, because everyone is backed in the US, you'll just move too slowly if you're bootstrapped. I'm like, all right, so get an investor on board and then push into the US market. we'll probably go after like the cities you've never heard of that have like really big financial sectors. So like obviously everyone in Australia is like, I want to go New York. I want to go LA, you know. All the Australian brands that gyms specifically that go to those areas, and I've spoken to them, it's expensive and it's tough in those markets because everyone wants to go there, and the rent's the most expensive. It's the most competitive. You have to spend millions of dollars to have success in like one site in LA. So we'll probably start looking at markets like Washington, Houston, Boston, stuff like that, like sub-major cities, which are obviously still 5 times the size of Australia, and then look to push into the bigger markets there. So we want to be in the US within 5 years.
Epic.
Yeah.
That's epic. I got 2 last questions for you. I don't know if you read the brief, but...
I did read the brief.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Because I throw this at some people and then they go, oh man, I wish you told me that before. And the reason I asked this, I say this on every podcast, so I'll go through it. I was running with a friend who's a fighter jet pilot, and he asked me this question. I sat back and I went, there should be such an easy question to answer, but when you think about it, this is quite tough.
What did you say firstly?
I'll get to it after.
Okay.
I feel like there should be a big reveal with my one. How do you define performance?
So I think for me, performance is I want to be able to do anything in my life that to a level that I'm satisfied with. And so right now for me, that's like, you know, just getting back into basketball recently. I've always kept plyometrics in my program because one, I just have like this low level anxiety about like an Achilles tear, because I've just seen it happen so many times to people that just were like me, kind of in their 30s, hadn't played sport in a while, like still in shape, like maybe does a bit of jogging on the weekends, does a little bit of stuff, and just thought I'm going to try and dunk it, and then the Achilles is gone. So I've always kept plyometrics in my training for the reasons of like this summer I moved house and I'm like right next to a court and I'm back playing again, and I feel like I haven't really lost anything, which is good. So that would just be like one example. And then the other example would be like boxing, right? Like I do boxing once or twice a week. Not because I ever plan on stepping in the ring. I definitely don't want to, because it's just got no time to be in a training camp. But because there may be an instance in the future in my life that requires me to defend myself or punch someone or something or defend someone. I don't know. It's, you know, maybe my girlfriend or like, I don't know, my mom gets in trouble, and like you want to know how to handle yourself in that situation. So like bad performance would be like, I'm not ready. I don't know what to do here. And I would say like adequate performance is like everyone stays safe. Don't have to be a world champion, but just like to a level that I'm happy with. And then on a daily basis, it's just like energy. Like I feel like I'm doing everything that I want to do. The only thing that could let me down here is if I don't have the energy to sustain it, to like, you know, do 5 or 6 meetings back to back and then go do a training session and then come do a podcast and be sharp and have all my words. So yeah, it's just all the daily tasks and the potential tasks that are out there and being able to do them at a level I'm happy with.
Yeah, I'm laughing about that because Dino behind me in my left shoulder literally was just complaining about his Achilles. Means that as soon as you're talking about that, I'm like, he's definitely not doing his plyometrics.
Yeah.
He was literally just saying my Achilles hurt.
But you know what the thing about plyos is, like, you do them, but then once you actually play sport, you realize that they do struggle to replicate sport. They can get you ready, but like, man, I don't know, sport is just so different. The angles you hit and the force that you go at, and when you're in the game and the adrenaline's going, like it's hard to replicate in the gym.
Yeah. I remember doing plyos, trying to get ready for this really crazy like elevation race that I had where I think you ran uphill about 10,000 meters and downhill 10,000.
Holy shit.
And
How long was it?
It was 100 miles. And then it's like,
There's
but then
something wrong
you're
with you,
thinking
honestly.
like, man, there's no amount of times I jump up and down off a box that's going to replicate me doing this for 7,000 miles.
No chance.
7,000 meters in. But anyway, let's leave that there, Lockie. That's awesome. If people want to reach out to you, if they want to get onto you personally and have a chat, or if they want to get in touch about Locker Room and speak more about that, how do they do it?
Yeah, so honestly, the place I spend the most time these days is LinkedIn. So yeah, if you have LinkedIn, you can definitely like follow me or connect with me on LinkedIn. And then everything's from there. Like, lockerroomgym.com is like the website. And then, I just put posts every day about training nutrition for executives on LinkedIn. So yeah, if you're into that stuff, check it out there.
Yeah. And I'll say quickly, if you're a business professional, just follow you guys because it's awesome. Even sitting back from where I am, there's things you guys put up and I go, man, that's so smart. Like it's so smart and it's so well dialed for people who are in business, because as much as you don't want to sit there and be like, oh, it's different. It is different when you're really busy and you've got to do meetings, like you said, and you do live that type of life. It's not just, you don't have to be a CEO. If you're just a busy person, you're working a normal job, there are so many things you can do that'll improve your quality of life. And it's a real correlation. You get all of these things right, your job will improve as well. Your mental health will improve, your family life will improve. You see it time and time again.
Yeah.
So if you are listening to this, follow Lockie, follow Locker Room. Even if you never go there, if you don't live in Sydney, there's so much value you'll get from it. But Lockie, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Geordie. Appreciate it.